We're living in a time of shared universes. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Extended Universe, the Air Bud Universe. But nobody could have expected that one of today's most successful and exciting connected cinematic worlds would spring from a little horror movie from genre veteran James Wan. That's right, the Conjuring universe. Loosely based on the real-life cases of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Conjuring films pit their characters against all kinds of demons, inner demons, outer demons, doll demons, nun demons, and all of that demonic history spans over 100 years. Before the latest entry in the series, The Nun, we decided it was time to dive headfirst into hell and put the events of the Conjuring universe into chronological order. Spoilers for the Conjuring and Annabelle movies ahead. The seeds for the Conjuring universe are planted in Harrisville, Rhode Island in 1863. The witch Bathsheba sacrifices her baby to the devil and commits suicide, but not before laying a curse on her land, dooming all that would try to take it. Heading west to California, dollmaker Sam Mullins, his wife Esther, and their daughter Annabelle, B as they call her, are in the process of fixing a flat tire when B is struck and killed by a car. This tragedy forces the Mullins into reclusion. In their grief, the Mullins pray and pray to see their beloved daughter again, but it's not God that answers their prayers. It's a demon, who, after giving them a glimpse of little B, tricks them into transferring its spirit into that creepy effing doll. Oh God, 4 movies later and it's still freaky as hell. Anyway, as it turns out, that demon's a real crappy house guest, attacking Esther and gouging her eye out. That ends up being a bridge too far for the Mullins, so they call in a couple of priests to redecorate B's closet with Bible pages, and they seal the possessed doll inside. Before we find out whether that Bible closet will keep the demon trapped, spoilers, no way, the series detours to a Romanian monastery in 1952, where we'll learn more about one of the series' most terrifying villains, Valak, the demon nun. We aren't sure yet what other insights into the Conjuring universe the nun will give us, so let's not waste any more time on it for now. Moving on. It's not until 12 years after B's death that the Mullins decide to reopen their doors, taking in the nun, not that one, Sister Charlotte, and a group of girls whose orphanage was just closed down. Among the girls are best friends Linda and Janice, who suffers from polio. They are expressly told not to enter B's room.
Locked, and it stays that way too.
But this is a horror movie, and nobody listens to ominous warnings. So late one night, Janice sneaks into B's room and finds her creepy-ass doll, the vessel for the demon. The demon eventually attacks Janice, throwing her down the stairs and confining her to a wheelchair. Soon after that, it's able to possess Janice by puking in her mouth. Oh. Linda starts to notice Janice and the Annabelle doll getting real close and is almost thrown down a well, presumably to do battle with Samara from The Ring. But Sister Charlotte saves the day. Janice and her demon friend proceed to go on a murderous rampage, absolutely eviscerating Esther Mullins, but Sister Charlotte gets the upper hand and locks Janice in the creepy Bible closet. Of course, Janice Shawshanks her way through a hole in the wall and escapes south to Santa Monica. But she's going to need a change of identity, a new name. She settles on the name of the Mullins' late daughter.
Annabelle.
Annabelle's doll comes into the possession, get it, of John and Mia Form, a young couple in Santa Monica getting ready for the birth of their first child. Mia's decorating the nursery with sort of terrifying dolls, and John decides he should get her the most terrifying one. It's not long after that we find out what Janice, or Annabelle as she's known these days, has been up to since escaping the Mullins farm. After she was adopted by the Higgins, John and Mia's neighbors, she joined a cult. Along with another member of that cult, she sneaks into her adoptive family's home and murders them. Annabelle and her accomplice then enter the Form's home and attack them. While the cops kill the male assailant, Annabelle grabs hold of her old doll and kills herself while holding it, transferring the demon right back to where it started. As is always the case when that horrifying excuse for a child's plaything is around, the Forms are plagued by supernatural attacks. In researching the events with Evelyn, a bookstore owner, Mia discovers the demon is after her soul. The Form's priest, Father Perez, takes the doll with the intention of having a certain demonologist duo exorcise it, but the demon attacks and soon possesses him. The demon abducts the Form's newborn, demanding Mia's soul in exchange for the child's life. But Evelyn, racked with guilt over causing her own daughter's death, sees this as a chance to redeem herself, sacrificing herself to the demon to keep Mia and her daughter safe. Thanks, Alfre Woodard! Annabelle and the demon controlling her disappear into the night. But nobody puts Annabelle in the corner, except the Mullins who put her in a closet, which is 4 corners. It's a room. She resurfaces 6 months later in a pawn shop, where she's purchased as a present for a nursing student named Debbie. And as we know, Annabelle is a terrible roommate, starting with passive-aggressive notes and ending up being just plain aggressive. But Debbie is smart. Debbie knows what's up. Debbie calls in the big guns.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
A demonologist and medium, respectively, the married couple are famous for their ability to combat supernatural infestations and attacks, and manage to seal the possessed doll away in their museum of potential Conjuring spin-off ideas. In 1971, Ed and Lorraine are assisting during an exorcism when the victim grabs Lorraine, causing her to have a vision of Ed's death. She locks herself into seclusion for 8 days after the premonition, giving Ed serious reservations about subjecting her to further investigations. A few months after that, the Perrin family, Roger, Carolyn, and their 5 daughters, find the perfect home in Harrisville, Rhode Island. You know, the one Bathsheba cursed forever and eternity almost 100 years ago. And as it turns out, vengeful witches can raise just about as much hell as demons, and the spirit of Bathsheba quickly wreaks havoc on the Perrins. Carolyn seeks out Ed and Lorraine for help, and with the telltale signs of temperature shifts, rancid meat smells, and mocking of the Holy Trinity, it doesn't take the Warrens long to surmise that, yep, this is a real-life demonic infestation. Though Ed is still reluctant to risk Lorraine's health, the two of them take the case. They set up a number of traps to catch the spirit on camera to prove to the Catholic Church that the Perrins are really being haunted, so that they'll approve and perform an exorcism. And boy, do they prove it. The Perrins move into a motel, but the damage is done. Bathsheba succeeds in possessing Carolyn, forcing her to take 2 of her daughters back to the house to kill them. The Warrens arrive just in time to stop Carolyn from murdering one of her girls, but when they try to take her outside, her skin starts to burn. Bathsheba won't let her leave, forcing Ed to perform the exorcism himself. It, doesn't stick right away. But with the 1-2 punch of Ed calling out the spirit by name and Lorraine using some magic hands to make Carolyn remember her family, they manage to cast Bathsheba out. And man, does Carolyn cast out Bathsheba. The Warrens return home with a creepy keepsake for their creepy collection and a lead on a new case in Long Island. One that you've probably heard of, as it's popularly known today, the Amityville Horror. It's 1976, and while in the Amityville house, Lorraine has the same vision of Ed's death she had during the exorcism 5 years prior. This time, though, the vision is preceded by an appearance from Valak, the demon nun. The following year, the Infernal goes international. The Hodgson family, single mom Peggy and her 4 kids, begin to experience supernatural phenomena. But it's the second oldest, Janet, who sees the most of what's going on.
My house!
The ghost of the elderly Bill Wilkins, a previous tenant of the house, wants these pesky meatbags out of his home, probably so he can eat buttered saltines and watch the news at full volume or something. The Warrens catch wind of the Hodgsons' plight, but this time around it's Lorraine that's reluctant to let Ed take the case, given her premonition. But of course they go anyway because horror movies demand horror movie choices. Despite some evidence that Janet may be faking the possession, though we all know how dumb that is given all the spooky stuff going on, Ed and Lorraine discovered that the nun is the one controlling the ghost of Bill Wilkins and tormenting the Hodgsons. This all leads to a confrontation with the nun and the possessed Janet. Ed goes in alone to save her, putting the first pieces of Lorraine's premonition into motion. But Lorraine realizes that during her vision of the nun, she had managed to write, or stab, the nun's name into her Bible. As we learned in the first Conjuring, demons hate their own names.
Bathsheba!
So Lorraine goes into the house and identifies the nun as Valak.
The defiler! The profane! The Marquis of Snakes!
That is a mouthful. You know what? Let's just call it Valak and be done with it. She succeeds in casting Valak back to hell, saving Janet from possession and saving Ed from getting the wash treatment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Conjuring universe timeline in chronological order. We'll see what the nun adds to the story when it releases on September 7th. But until then, be sure to get caught up on your other favorite franchises' timelines. The MCU and Transformers timelines are a great place to start. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.